President Trump spent his holiday at Mar-a-Lago, where he issued a warm Thanksgiving message. He wrote a very happy Thanksgiving salutation to all of our great American citizens and patriots who've been so nice. All right, that's something, right? So nice in allowing our country to be divided, disrupted, carved up, murdered, beaten, mugged, and laughed at. Murdered, mugged, beaten, and laughed at. I hate to be the one to tell you our country isn't being laughed at. They're laughing at you.
It's really not looking good for you, Donald. Donald Trump's mental and physical conditions are rapidly deteriorating. It's bad. On Thursday, yet again, we saw Donald Trump falling asleep, almost collapsing in his chair during a press conference, and this follows him doing that during a cabinet meeting. He's doing it last week. He just can't stay awake at all. And we see Donald Trump yet again covering up the bruises on his hand. His hand looks like it's rotting away and he's trying to cover it up, and it has these bandages over him. Photographers were able to capture what was going on there. It's really not looking good. I want to really delve into this right now, and specifically what a Democratic lawmaker was saying. And this Democratic Congresswoman, Sidney Comliger-Dove, she said, "Is he taking Leqembi? Leqembi is an Alzheimer's drug that was recently approved by the FDA. It was an experimental drug. And if you look at what Leqembi does, it's administered through an infusion, for example, through the hand. It can cause swelling, bleeding, or fluid leakage in the brain. It requires regular MRIs, the way Donald Trump's getting these regular MRIs that he's trying to cover up. It can cause tiredness and basically all of the symptoms that we're seeing in Donald Trump.
You think late night comedy is just jokes? Think again. Because what Jimmy Kimmel has done to Donald Trump on live television isn't just comedy. It's a masterclass in how to absolutely obliterate a president who can't stop watching. And here's the kicker. Every time Trump tries to cancel Kimmel, he makes him more powerful. We're talking about moments so brutal they broke the internet. Moments that got Kimmel suspended, threatened, and turned into the one voice Trump can't silence no matter how hard he tries. So, buckle up, because what you're about to hear is a story of how one comedian became Trump's worst nightmare and did it all on live TV.
And then Trump lashed out at Tim Walz, of all people, calling him the seriously retarded governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. See, he can be presidential when he wants to be. I wonder why he didn't get that Nobel Peace Prize. It makes no sense. Trump posted that little blessing on Thanksgiving. It caused quite an uproar, even among a handful of Republicans. And I think he might have been feeling a little bad about it when asked to explain on board Air Force One.
That same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely. Sure.
You don't think that...
You have a problem with him? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him.
Another bold statement from the president of the 8th grade. Governor Walz...
I want to show you this video on Leqembi so you can judge for yourself. Before doing that, I want to ask you, please subscribe to the Midas Touch YouTube channel. As you know, our fearless reporting here is under attack by Donald Trump and his regime. They've been posting about us on social media, attacking us. State regime media known as Fox is attacking us. MAGA is attacking us. We get death threats all the time. So please, if you can, hit subscribe. We want to get to 6 million subscribers so we can continue our fearless reporting here. Let me show you this video right here about this FDA Alzheimer's drug, Leqembi, and I want to get your take on what you think. Here, play this clip.
We continue our coverage of an FDA-approved Alzheimer's drug that can slow cognitive decline and not just treat the symptoms.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. A lot of people, especially those who suffer from Alzheimer's, they are so hopeful about any progress that can be made. Fox China's Carrie Beal spoke with a patient who participated in the clinical trial for this drug. Carrie.
Yeah, the 89-year-old patient I talked to has been taking the medicine for about 2 years, and he believes it's the reason he's still functioning so well.
Hi, Zelik, are you ready for today?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get this started.
Zelik started the Alzheimer's treatment known as Leqembi in clinical trials 2 years ago.
Okay, keep your arms straight. That's nice. Okay.
It involves an IV treatment taken once every 2 weeks.
We'll get you started, okay?
Zelik, who lives in Canada, asked we not use his last name.
I hardly feel it at all, and it lasts about an hour. and it drip, and then you rest about a half an hour, and then you go home.
But before we get into the absolute carnage, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the Trump administration doesn't want you seeing this content, and YouTube's algorithm gets weird when we talk about certain topics. So, subscribe and let's get into it. Let me take you back to March 10th, 2024. The Oscars. Jimmy Kimmel is hosting when Trump starts hate watching and posts on Truth Social. Has there ever been a worse host than Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars? His opening was that of a less than average person trying too hard to be something which he is not and never can be. Most hosts would ignore it. But Kimmel pulls out his phone on stage, reads Trump's entire rant to a packed Dolby Theater, and delivers one of the most viral moments in Oscar history. Well, thank you, President Trump. I'm surprised you're still isn't past your jail time. The crowd went insane. Kimmel was told not to read it. His producers and his wife begged him not to, but he went for the jugular. Trump, facing 91 criminal charges, got destroyed on live television at the biggest award show on the planet.
In response to Trump, called on the president to release the results of that perfect MRI he got. You know, the one he still has no idea why he was given? Well, guess what? He still doesn't know why he got it or even where.
What part of your body was the MRI looking at?
I have no idea. It was just an MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain, because I took a cognitive test and I aced it. I got a perfect mark, which you would be incapable of doing. Goodbye, everybody. You too.
Wow, that Melania is a lucky lady indeed. She really is. As far as this brain stuff, I don't know what people are worried about. I mean, this is from this weekend. He looks fine to me. That was the moment just after his teeth fell into his omelet.
His older brother died from Alzheimer's disease.
And that was a very disturbing thing for me, because I was concerned I hope it wouldn't happen to me.
So when Zelig was diagnosed, he immediately got involved with this clinical trial. Leqembi is only designed for those with early stages of the disease.
Well, this is the first time that we have a drug shown to slow down the progression of Alzheimer's disease by targeting an underlying key pathology of the disease. So this is an exciting milestone.
The director of Toronto Memory Program, Dr. Sharon Cohen, examined patients as they took the drug.
How are you? Nice
Very
to
good.
see you. By 18 months on cognitive measures and functional measures, there was a 27% slowing. And we saw that slowing as early as 6 months.
But there can be side effects, like brain bleeds.
This is self-limiting for the most part, often occurs without any symptoms at all, and yet we monitor with MRI scans.
Zelig says the drug has allowed him to continue spending quality time with his wife.
My wife recently had an operation. I don't do a lot of things around the house. I took over everything in the house, and everything was fine.
And you said you haven't noticed any further decline, like in the last 2 years?
No, it seems that I've just stayed steady.
Wow. When I watched that video, my mouth dropped and I was like, that's the MRI machine. That's the swelling of the hand.
But that was just a warm-up. Fast forward to November 6, 2024. Trump defeats Kamala Harris, and Kimmel comes on air visibly shaken. That was the worst Taco Tuesday of my whole life. He says, voice cracking. We had the choice between a prosecutor and a criminal, and we chose a criminal. Then he gets real, fighting back tears. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for immigrants, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for justice, for free speech, for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors, for Ukraine, for NATO, for truth and democracy.
Poor guy, he hasn't been the same since Jeffrey Epstein died, you know? You lose a friend. Unfortunately, Trump's MRI results have somehow gotten mixed up with those tax returns he was supposed to release in 2016. But does this seem like the rambling of a man who aced a cognitive exam? There is a new word for a Trump Republican. It is T-publican or T-publican? Trumplicans. Trumplicans. I don't think Trumplicans is going to stick. What about dinosaurs? I mean, or maybe just DJ Teabags. I don't know, but he's also claiming he has his highest poll numbers ever, which means it's not just books he can't read. Trump's approval rating, according to every major poll, is the lowest since we flushed him out of office the first time. His negative rating is now at 60%. There are gas station bathrooms on Yelp with higher approval ratings than Donald Trump right now. And
is that why he's going to Walter Reed all the time? Now, we know Alzheimer's runs in Donald Trump's family. His dad, Fred, died of Alzheimer's, rapidly deteriorating health condition starting in the early 90s. The Trump family tried to cover up, and Donald, I think, tried to cover up Fred's Alzheimer's, and he had to take these cognitive exams all the time. We know from Donald Trump's nephew, Fred III, that Donald Trump is deathly afraid of what happened to his father happening to him. And again, we see Donald Trump exhibiting all of those symptoms and conditions. Again, I don't know one way or another what's happening here, but what I do know is that Donald Trump is covering up the MRI results. We are not getting the data set here of what's happening. And I have a First Amendment right to share my opinion when Donald Trump is covering up these MRI results. So I want to share with you what Dr. Vin Gupta, renowned doctor who's the head of Midas Health, what he told us. So one thing I asked Dr. Gupta is, what do you make of Donald Trump saying he keeps getting these cognitive exams? He keeps taking cognitive exams. Here's what Dr. Gupta told me about Trump saying he keeps taking these cognitive exams. Here, play this clip. In the experts that you speak to and in your own practice, have you ever heard of somebody taking these cognitive exams that Trump keeps saying he's taking like every 3 months or 6 months? This level of, have you ever heard of that? Like with that level of frequency?
No. Nobody takes a Montreal Cognitive Assessment, MoCA for short, which it focuses on recall, memory loss, basic things. Mild cognitive dysfunction is what it tends to sort of screen for. It's not a great tool. No one takes it with this type of frequency. I was on with Nicole Wallace yesterday, and I thought she said it beautifully. Saying that you're passing it every other week is not some sort of flex here that he thinks it is. It's an unusual thing to keep boasting about. Doing it as frequently as he's doing makes no sense. I don't know any neurologist that would recommend doing a MoCA with that type of frequency. And again, it's not the flex that I think he thinks it is.
So then I asked Dr. Gupta about this MRI doctor's note that Donald Trump produced, where Donald Trump's doctor said he got a comprehensive executive physical. Advanced imaging was performed because men of his age benefit for a thorough evaluation of abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative. So Donald Trump's doctor was talking about a preventative abdominal MRI. And Dr. Gupta said, Ben, I've asked the top radiologists, the top MRI technicians, the top doctors in this area from various clinical and other practice areas. And he said, there's no such thing as a preventative abdominal MRI. MRIs usually aren't even performed in the abdominal area. It's usually of the brain or of the spine. And if you were to do a preventative MRI, which is not something that should be done, you wouldn't just ignore an area like the brain or the spine and focus just on the abdomen.
Then the line that stuck. It was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him. 2. You just don't realize it yet. That wasn't comedy. It was prophecy. Make sure you hit that like button if you're still with me, because this is where it gets insane. September 15th, 2025. Kimmel jokes about Trump's reaction to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Within 24 hours, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr calls it the sickest conduct possible and threatens ABC. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Hours later, Nexter and Sinclair pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air. Then Disney suspends Kimmel entirely.
Not headed in an upward direction. Trump has pardoned yet another nefarious character, Juan Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was responsible for sending 500 tons of cocaine to the United States and once bragged he would, quote, stuff the drugs up the gringos' noses. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison. He served about 1.5 years of that before Trump let him out. And now some have pointed out this unbelievable hypocrisy of Trump blowing up boats, killing random Venezuelans because they believe there are low-level drug runners in the boats, while simultaneously pardoning a man who sent 1 million pounds of cocaine to this country. But those people are just haters and losers, you know? I mean, lighten up. When he was running for president, Trump made it very clear His top priorities were A, pardoning drug kingpins, and B, building a place to ballroom dance. Promises made, promises kept. And then we have the guy who has been giving the orders to actually shoot the boats, Pete Hegseth. Pete had a rough Thanksgiving. We learned this weekend that the first time our military shot the boats, there were 2 survivors after the initial strike holding on to wreckage, floating in the water. According to the Washington Post, Pistol Pete gave the specific order to kill everybody, and so they did. Although in his defense, we've all done some crazy stuff when we're drunk. Usually...
So either this preventative MRI was done, which is likely not the case, and they're hiding the results about the brain area, or this whole thing is basically a farce to begin with, which I think you know which one it is. But here's what Dr. Gupta told me just about the idea of preventative MRIs. Here, play this clip.
I had a chance to speak to a lot of radiology colleagues at the best academic institutions in the country over the last 24 hours because, I want to make sure that we're getting the very best expertise across specialties for Midas and Midas Health. No one is aware of getting an MRI of the torso, which is what the results that were summarized in the physician's note that Carolyn Levitt read out. It doesn't exist. They had justified getting an MRI of the torso for primary screening of some sort of medical process because he's older. And, that doesn't exist. I'm not aware, my colleagues across the spectrum in radiology are not aware of that type of screening process. You just don't do it. And I think the fact that they reported only the cardiovascular and abdominal findings is odd. Why? Did he get a full body MRI because that's in vogue amongst a certain subsegment of society and they just reported the cardiac and the abdominal findings? Okay, then why did they leave out everything else? Did they just get a torso MRI? Why? There is no clinical guideline that exists. And again, these are the most credentialed radiologists in the country. I challenge anybody to find a group of folks that is more credentialed and more accomplished and knows, what to do and when to do MRIs than the folks I've spoken with.
September 17th, 2025. The show is off the air. Trump celebrates. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. He demands NBC fire Seth Meyers and Jimmy Fallon, too. But the backlash is instant. Over 400 celebrities sign an ACLU letter. Disney Plus crashes from cancellations. Disney loses $5 billion in market value. Even Ted Cruz calls the FCC mafioso. 6 days later, September 23rd, 2025, Kimmel returns and breaks every record. 26 million viewers, the most watched episode ever. His monologue gets 26 million social media views in 24 hours. YouTube 15. 3 million views in one day. The president made it clear he wants me and hundreds of people here fired. Kimmel says emotional.
Usually when Pete Hegseth orders enough bombs to kill everyone, they come with a shot of sake. But members of Congress from both sides believe Hegseth may have committed a war crime. Trump even distanced himself from it. So now they've changed the sign again to the Department of War Crimes. There we go. Here's the thing. There's no way they know who was on these boats. They could just be fishermen. President El Pork Chapo said, blow them up anyway. He doesn't care. He doesn't even eat fish that don't start with filet-o. We have killed more than 80 people in these little boats already. The White House is hoping to oust the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who the State Department designated as the leader of a terrorist drug cartel. Trump reportedly had a phone call with Maduro last week, but he's keeping that on the DL.
The New York Times reported that you had a phone call with Maduro. Did you?
I don't want to comment on it. The answer is yes.
It's like each half of his brain is fighting with the other. Meanwhile, while her husband is playing Battleship, the First Lady unveiled the White House Christmas decorations. The theme this year, there's a theme every year. This year's theme is Home is Where the Heart Is. which I think is their way of saying expect more flight delays at Christmas. And if one could sum up the Trump administration in one moving image, I think it would be this: a row of beautifully decorated Christmas trees lined up next to an Etsy painting of Trump getting shot in the ear.
Then Dr. Gupta spoke to me generally about what he's observing in Donald Trump's health and Trump's deteriorating condition. Play this clip.
It's an information void. I'll say as an observer, just like you. And what do we know? Clearly, it looks like he's not getting enough sleep, or he's just more fatigued. I think the New York Times did extensive reporting that him and his team have panned, but it seems like they're reporting on his fatigue and his functionality is bearing out in his public appearances. So that's what we know. It's been documented through significant reporting. To your point, erratic behavior, which either is a hallmark of who he is as a person, because we've seen elements of that over the last 10 to 15 years since he's been in politics. Or one could say it's getting worse, more frequent, which I think is the case, to your point on social posting last night. These trend lines here, more fatigue. I continue to go back to how he comported himself when somebody fainted in the Oval Office, didn't really show any signs of concern, just general apathy, inattention. And then, yes, the erratic behavior looking to be more frequent. These are what we know. These are what we're observing. And then when you couple that with just the fact that they're letting things out drip, 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 they don't really make any medical sense. Again, if you talk to credentialed physicians that know what they're talking about in radiology, they're just creating more questions than they're answering, and that's the problem.
So as I mentioned, Donald Trump's been trying to hide his hand, which we see is rotting away, and again, looks similar to someone who would be under Lakemba, or just someone who's getting constant IVs in that area. I mean, that's what it looks like. And we see him falling asleep. The Washington Post has actually done a good job lately, finally, covering Donald Trump's deteriorating health. The recent cabinet meeting that Donald Trump held this past week, he was sleeping throughout it. Take a look at the Washington Post's video of Donald Trump sleeping there. Play this clip.
Japan and Korea, they offer us $750 billion in cash to build in America.
Over a fence line dispute that had been in their family for 130 years. We fixed that. A family, the Henry family in New Jersey.
Investments, and we're seeing more and more of that, where we also rescinded the supplemental statement that discouraged the fiduciaries.
California, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maryland, I could go on. What happened in those states?
Well, many of whom were let in across our borders under the previous administration. We are focused on these tasks and this imperative for the American people, and just appreciate your leadership, Mr. President.
Key Supreme Court decisions like Loper-Bright overturned the Chevron doctrine.
Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. He squeezed Colbert out of CBS, then came for me. Now he wants NBC to fire Fallon and Myers. The defining line, a government threat to silence a comedian the president doesn't like, is anti-American. Dyro shows up as the fake new FCC chairman. The message is clear. You tried to cancel me and made me bigger. If you're not subscribed yet, what are you even doing?
Into the Christmas decorations, and she had them make a gingerbread model of the White House. It's very detailed. It's all in miniature on the inside and the outside. And then, guess who comes in and smashes the whole thing down?
I made space for the ballroom.
And then he ate it. So, sorry, Melania. Speaking of holiday traditions, over the Thanksgiving break, Kristi Noem's least favorite competition, the National Dog Show. This year, Soleil, a Belgian sheepdog, won Best in Show, beating out this fluffy fellow sheepdog of the English variety.
Sheepdog. Monday, good morning. As I have said before, if the judge picks through all of that hair and finds only one eye, he's got the wrong end of the dog.
You said that more than once? I like the idea that that's a tradition. And regular dog show viewers are like, honey, he's doing the beehole joke again. Get in here.
We inherited massive backlogs.
And that means that American patients at the point of care.
Here's the Washington Post coverage of Trump's prior meeting in the Oval Office, where he also fell asleep. Let me show you this right here.
Who live in food deserts and are suffering from obesity
and are locked into that system. President Trump has also instructed us to address and end the root causes of chronic disease. Who made this happen? They saw that this could be a win-win situation, that this was not a zero-sum game, a savings, and that's because the price of diabetes prescriptions is also going to drop. Do not have diabetes. People who have a BMI of 27 and above, or pre-diabetic, or have heart.
Good reason against it. Now, MAHA is critical. America will have to get fit in order to right-size the healthcare system and sleep and dealing with issues related to that. And I want to say it as clear as I can. Secretary Kennedy mentioned.
And then Donald Trump fell asleep at the press conference that he held on Thursday, where he held this fake peace deal between the leaders of Congo and Rwanda, even though they're still at war with each other, but he pretended that they weren't. And again, he fell asleep there. Let me show you right here. Here, play this clip right here.
Uhuru Kenyatta, who I can see here in the room, these two great Africans who are at the beginning, who started the Rwanda and the Nairobi processes. And beyond them, I wish to thank also all of the African leaders who contributed to help us in this struggle. And I do hope that we have, yes, reached the end. The Washington Agreement.
And so you see on state regime media, they're trying to make excuses for him. So here they have Sean Hannity and Clay Travis. Here's what they say. Play this clip.
I saw him while I'm in D.C. He is just, he talked for hours. I watched it. I talk to him regularly. I hear it. He is as engaged as anybody I know.
Sean, he just had a 2-hour cabinet meeting where he answered questions about everything under the sun.
And they bring on this guy who just says the most outrageous things. This guy Siegel, who they say is a doctor. And he's like, this is like Thomas Edison. Donald Trump's just taking his executive power naps. This is totally normal.
What did the president know? And how old were these women when he knew it? He's adapting the Watergate question, but making it about Trump and underage girls. Devastating. 12:49 a.m. 11 minutes after the show ends, Trump posts, "Why does ABC keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor ratings on the air, get the bum off the air?" Kimmel's response the next night, "Every 5 weeks he flips out and wants me fired." He notes Trump posted at 12:49 a.m. Clearly hate watching. Thanks for watching on TV. It's viewers like you who keep us on the air. Ironically, then Kimmel makes an offer. "Mr. President, if you're watching, which I presume you are, how about this? I'll go when you go. Let's ride off into the sunset together, like Butch Cassidy and the Suntan Kid." The closer, days earlier, Trump called a Bloomberg reporter quiet piggy when she asked about Epstein. Kimmel uses it. And until then, if I may borrow a phrase from you, quiet piggy. The audience goes wild. Kimmel just threw Trump's sexist insult back in his face on national television. November 25th, Trump's turkey pardon. He calls Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker a big fat slob. Kimmel, fascists are fun, too. Then destroys Trump for rambling about his own fat jokes. I don't know if that's sarcasm or short-term memory. Loss. December 2nd, 3 days ago, Trump's Thanksgiving message claims the country is being laughed at. Kimmel, I hate to tell you, they're laughing at you. Trump's approval 60% negative. Gas station bathrooms on Yelp have higher ratings. December 3rd, 2 days ago, Kimmel catches Trump sleeping in his cabinet meeting. Tell us again how sleepy Joe is, will you? Drop a comment below telling me which Kimmel take on was the most brutal, because they just keep coming. Here's the bottom line. Trump has called for Kimmel's firing dozens of times, got him suspended 6 days, threatened ABC's license, weaponized the FCC every time. Kimmel comes back stronger. Why? Trump can't help himself. He hate watches every night. Posts at 12:49 a.m. because he stays up to watch live. Every attack gives Kimmel more material, more viewers, more power. The man who claims he doesn't care what people think is obsessed with what Jimmy Kimmel thinks. And Kimmel knows it.